Thanks for everybody for having us over here. You guys have an awesome facility. I hadn't been in here until a couple months ago. I mean, I'm of a different faith, and so but I have several people that I know that go to this church, and I'm respectful of the Catholic religion, and I can truly respect a religion that stands for something, and I think that's becoming increasingly more important as the world becomes increasingly more crazy. And so we actually rented this facility for an event that I had, and honestly I was blown away. It's wonderful. You have the most amazing kitchen. I want to rent it again to go play on the hibachi grill. And so anyway, I grew up in Nevada, Missouri, about 100 miles north of here. I lived in that area my whole life. We had a family farm, and my dad ran an asphalt plant. An Eagle Scout. I got my Eagle Scout at 13. I was the youngest Eagle Scout in the Mocan Area Council, in the history of the council. It provided a lot of opportunities for me. I went to Philmont as a young man, hiking around in the mountains. I was able to escort Miss USA and Miss Tennessee in the Miss USA pageant. Anyway, it was just a cool way to kind of go and see the world from growing up in a little town. I left Nevada and went to college for a semester, and then after a semester of college, I went and served a 2-year mission in Santiago, Chile for my church, and it was an unbelievable experience. It opened my eyes to a lot of new things, increased my faith in God and Jesus Christ, and I learned Spanish. That was pretty cool. I still use it every day. I love it. I try to use as much as possible, I guess, for every day. But anyway, came back after that, met my wife. We got married 9 months later. We're celebrating 20 years this December. After my wife and I graduated from college, we moved to Bella Vista. So I've been here since 2005, 17 years in Bella Vista, and I love it here. I mean, my grandparents, they built a lake house in Hot Springs Village, and so I drove through here multiple times every year as a kid, and I was familiar with Cooper Development because of Hot Springs Village, and I knew when we moved to Northwest Arkansas, I knew we wanted to live in Bella Vista, so this was pretty much the only place we were looking for a house, and I've been here since. I have 5 children. My oldest son is 18 years old. He graduated high school at 16. He's getting pretty close to getting his associate's degree. He works full time, and he's getting ready to go serve a church mission as well. He leaves here in just a few weeks. My youngest daughter is 9, so I have 3 boys and 2 girls, and they're between 18 and, well, she just turned 10, so sorry about that. It's hard to keep track sometimes when they start having birthdays. Anyway, I started my own business in 2006. I'm a shotcrete contractor. I've got a commercial license. I've worked all over kind of this part of the country, Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Kansas, every state really that borders Arkansas. I don't travel anymore. I haven't really done that for a while. Occasionally we'll go do, for a company that we work for, we'll go travel somewhere not too far away. But I've said, and since I announced that I was running for mayor, and that I'm willing to step away from all of that. It's a super successful business. I love it, built it from scratch, and I'm willing to step away from that to be a full-time mayor. My wife and I also own another business. We've made a bunch of efforts to upscale her business. We bought a second commercial property, and so to help kind of offset the salary from what I was doing to what I am doing. And so it's a big financial sacrifice to do this, but I feel like I love Bella Vista. I'm invested in the future of Bella Vista. I plan on living here for the rest of my life. I want my kids to be able to, grow up and raise their kids here, come back here, and I want this to be a place, I'm focused on the future of Bella Vista. As an adult, I've been involved a lot in the community, all kinds of different service projects and different things. I spearheaded a big leaf project that we would do as our church every year. We'd clean up it really started kind of getting up to about 50 yards a year. And that was always a fun project. Done lots of service projects on the trails around here over the years, building bridges and different things. Lots of Eagle Scout projects. I've been involved as an adult leader for 15 years in Boy Scouts. I I've been on National Jamboree, staff twice, and I was Venture Career Leader of the Year also. And so, anyway, I want to talk. I'm running for mayor for a lot of reasons. I feel like the world's becoming a crazy place, and everything I read on what you can do about that, it just all says get involved on the local level. You can create a huge buffer from just the craziness of the world at the local level. And so I want to try to do that. Both of these guys talked about our local economy. I'd also like to talk about our local economy. The numbers, appreciate the numbers that John brought. Taxes keep increasing in Bella Vista. They've increased for multiple different reasons. Some of them are there was a millage increase from 3.5 mils to 4 mils. Right now it's at 3.97 mils. The reason it's at 3.97 mils is because if the assessments go up by more than 10%, the county automatically does a rollback to roll back your assessments to where it maintains at 10%, so the city doesn't get more than a 10% increase overnight. And so the city council did vote to keep it at 3.97 mils instead of 4 mils, but basically your property taxes just went up 10%. When I moved here, sales tax was 8.5%. It's 9.5% right now. We're tied for second place as the most expensive sales tax in Northwest Arkansas. Sales tax has gone up. The state passed an internet sales tax, which means that any item purchased online is now also taxed. That's a whole new tax. That did not happen before, but that's new, and so we're getting revenues from that. That happened in July of 2019. Shortly after that, in 2019, the bond issue did pass, which doubled our city percentage of the sales tax from 1% to 2%. And so we're now paying 9.5% on internet sales tax, which we paid 0% before, and now we're paying 9.5% on our local sales tax, second highest in county. I don't like tax increases. They go up and they seem like they never come down. Temporary taxes seem like they never go away. Well, we need that money. We got used to having that money. We got real accustomed to spending that money. It's just financial creep. Steve's right. There's been 1,200 new homes built in Bella Vista in the last 2 years. That's more people using our infrastructure. That's more people driving on our roads. That's more people using our power grid. I mean, they can't hardly keep up with the power grid. There's more demand on the power grid than ever. I mean, we were so hot this summer, and the way that I met with the CEO of Carroll Electric a couple months ago, and he was talking about the way the power grid's set up, and it's a disaster. They're a good distribution company, and so they have some input on it, but they don't have the ability to change it. And so we as a city need to grow our tax base to be able to pay for the growth that's coming to Bella Vista.
2 minutes.
Yep, I don't want to bring tons of people into Bella Vista. I don't want to commercialize or industrialize Bella Vista. I moved here because of the way it looks and the way that it feels. I'd like to talk for a second about John's numbers. It's an interesting statistics that he brought up. So we were at 1.85% on taxes we went to 2.85%, so that's the 0.85% is the percentage that we get back from the county, what Steve was talking about the money that we get from the county. If it's in a restaurant, we get 3.85%, and if it's lodging, we get 4.85%. The 4.85% is a 262% increase on sales tax. The 3.85% is a 208% increase on sales tax, and with the bond issue, we get 152% on sales tax. And so if you look at this graph, we've grown our revenues by 84%, but our taxes have increased by 154 to 262%. Our local economy is shrinking. You can see it. We bulldozed down the buildings across the street from town center. We bulldozed down one of the buildings by Harps. The movie theater's gone. They're getting ready to bulldoze down everything by Allen's. There's so many shops and so many businesses that are sitting empty even though we're bulldozing them down. All of those buildings and businesses that got displaced over there by Allen's, almost none of them have been able to relocate to Bella Vista. We need more business. Our tax base is shrinking. we need to streamline the process. I don't want to get rid of the rules and regulations. I want to streamline the process to make it simpler. Right now, a change of occupancy. So if a building's sat empty for more than more than a year, or if it has, if somebody's not using it for the same usage. Yep. Anyway, there's a lot going on, and I thank you guys, and I'd be interested in talking to you more about it. Thanks.
Okay, we'll take a minute or two for questions. If anybody has a burning question they'd like to, Jared?
I've heard some rumors that there might be a neighborhood market right up here in Rogers Road and 279. Is there any credibility to that?
They're just rumors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jack,
Any
when
others?
people ask a question, could you repeat the question so all of us can hear it?
He asked about a
before the
neighborhood
answer?
market in, on Rogers Road.
Yeah.
Any other question?
I have a question.
Any other question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would any of the mayor candidates be involved in helping to eliminate the POA since they're overpaid? The top 7 supervisors make almost $1 million salary. And Tom Judson makes $239,000 a year. So
I'll take the first.
our money's being wasted. There was no reason to have an assessment, as the first speaker said, there's 1,200 or 12,000 new houses. That money's gonna pay for things. All the money is going to overpaid salaries for the top.
You've asked your question, let him respond.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take the first shot at that. I assume everybody could hear it because I could hear it up here. So thank you for that question. And I would just say this. As we bought our properties in Bella Vista, we all signed a property deed that has covenants attached to it. That is a private relationship the property owner has with the POA. I could be elected, I believe, in a landslide if I stood up here today and promised you that we were going to get rid of the POA. It's not part of the city's responsibility. If any of the candidates say otherwise, they are misleading you. This is part of Bella Vista. It's what makes us unique. We have to deal with it. The best way to deal with the POA, if you believe they're not being responsible with your money, is to give that feedback to them, to get yourself involved in the POA, to join the board. Probably the hardest volunteer position in Bella Vista is to be on the board of the POA. The city has to manage the city resources. We cannot pass a law that says there is no more POA. That's not happening.
Any other questions?
John,
Any other questions?
I want to hit that question.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to talk about that question. There is a way to get rid of the POA, and this is what it is. The POA has an election. This is legal. And 2/3 of the people vote to get rid of the POA. And then Cooper has to vote to get rid of the POA. That's how you get rid of the POA. Now, one interesting thing about the POA is you never get 2/3 of the people to show up and vote, let alone vote the same way. In fact, the election the POA just had, they just barely got 50% to vote, just barely. And one of the guys told me they spent the whole day calling people just to get a quorum. They didn't call people and say, hey, please vote yes. They called people and said, please vote. In fact, they call people all over the country and say, please vote. They don't tell them to vote for it. And what I've noticed lately is when you're electing somebody to the board, they don't have those same quorum rules, usually 25% vote. So you don't like the way the POA is being run, you got to vote for people. Literally 3/4 of people are not even voting for who's on the board of the POA. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, John. Go ahead.
But even if we get the vote from the residents and the property owners, doesn't Cooper have the blocking votes, and is Cooper ever going to get rid of the POA?
Can I answer that one?
We'll have one more answer to that, and then we're gonna move on from this discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, Cooper's not gonna get rid of the POA. I mean, that's how it works. There's A boats, there's B boats, they control the B boats. It's, a lot of that is POA property and then Cooper's private property. It would be the world's biggest, nastiest, ugliest lawsuit. What I'd like to address is the bloated salaries. I think people need to be more aware of how much they're making and what they're doing with their monies. In 2019, they had $0. They had to borrow money from the water department. They paid $3 million out over the stump dump fire, and they're still $8.5 million in the black. They had $11.5 million in the positive in 3 years, and they still went for the increase. They didn't go for the increase because they needed the increase. They went for the increase because they figured out a way to pit the majority, the undeveloped properties, against the minority. I don't like that. I don't like dividing us into groups. I don't like splitting us into groups. I don't like one group against another. That's nonsense. Anyway, I would like to be more proactive and vocal about that in the community as mayor, to kind of point out some of the nonsense so there's more than one voice from the community about what's actually going on with the assessment increases.
Okay, I want to move from the POA. This is about the city. Go ahead.
Recently, the city attorney made a statement regarding the disastrous, about to be happening infrastructure in the city as we continue to grow, which growth is always good, but I'd like to know what you think about that and what's being done at the city level to protect us, that we don't reach disaster that we plan.
I'll take a quick shot at that. I think that was overstated. Many of us, when we moved to Bella Vista for the first time, we find ourselves with a property that has septic on it, so we're not real knowledgeable about it. The city does have a responsibility to make sure the residents of Bella Vista who are on septics understand the responsibility that comes with having your own self-contained system, what needs to go in there, how it needs to be maintained. Do we have an imminent disaster? No, we don't. The city has undertaken a program right now to educate the residents of Bella Vista. If you're on Facebook or you're on the internet, you've seen their material. We'll try to push that out further by way of direct mail so that people understand what are the responsibilities that come with the septic system. No, they're not all going to blow up at once and poison our lakes. It's something the city needs to take a role in, but we don't have a disaster on our hands.
I mean, there's challenges with growth, and we're growing. Our population's increasing, but our infrastructure isn't really expanding. I would like to be able to expand the infrastructure. One of the things I'd like to be able to do specifically on the septic issue is streamline the process for merging lots. And so right now that process is expensive, it's slow, it's painful, it's tedious, but if you can combine lots, then people have the options for a secondary field for their septic, which is something that you just never have if you build on a single lot in Bella Vista. We'd get some bigger, nicer homes in Bella Vista, some kind of more estate style properties in Bella Vista, but it would free up places for a secondary field, bigger septic, and septic expansions if there is some kind of problem. It's easy to fix and easy to address if you have property to be able to expand and do that. The other kind of positive outcome is every single lot in Bella Vista never has the potential to get built on at that point. If somebody builds on 2 or 3 lots, once they're merged, there's no separating them again. And so once you build the cross lines or something like that and merge those lots, you only have a finite number of lots, but we can split some of that up to where the houses don't feel so far apart. And I think a lot of people would be happy and interested in doing that. A lot of builders would be happy and interested in doing that. It isn't that expensive to buy land in Bella Vista, and so we have a unique opportunity to have some kind of bigger yards, and combining those lots would free up a lot of that.
I wasn't so concerned with what the city attorney said, but what the Department of Health expert said on the septics. We have 3,600 houses on sewer. So that leaves about 11,000 houses on septic. And they vary a lot in when they were built. A lot of the houses before 1985 were on metal tanks, which are known to be a problem waiting to happen. and even some of the cement tanks that are older. The Department of Health guy is saying 25 to 30 years reasonable life of a septic tank. And some of the dollar amounts he was quoting for some of these people on smaller lots were spectacular. If they have a failure, he's talking $25,000, $30,000. So this idea that septic is cheaper than sewer, not necessarily. I think we need to gradually start. Well, first of all, Village Wastewater is a separate company, has a sewer. I think we need to sit down and talk to them. I've talked to some of their board members already. And I think we just need, it's a long-term thing. It's not everybody's gonna rush out and be on sewer next year. But we need to gradually start moving more of the city to sewer. You're not gonna have a city of 50,000 people and all be on septic. We're already the biggest city in Arkansas on septic by far. So it's something we need to think about, long-term plan, and gradually move that way. I've been on both in my lifetime, and sewer is vastly superior. Yeah, you pay 25, believe me, it's vastly superior. You pay 25 bucks a month, it's way better. And like I say, I've lived on both in my lifetime, so thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Is there any way we can control the number of Airbnbs? And the second question to that is, can we get a sales tax off that Airbnb as they do motel charges?
That's a good question. He's asking about short-term rentals, which, and how do you make that so that the city benefits in some respect to that? And how do we keep from being overrun, I think, by short-term rentals? Some communities have been. I think of places like Lake Tahoe, Breckenridge, maybe even Eureka Springs. And so the city does have a responsibility to protect our neighborhoods. We're not being overrun at this time. Bella Vista, as part of our rich history, has always had short-term rentals. In fact, when vacation rentals existed, there were over 600. We don't even have that many now. So if you live next door to a short-term rental that's improperly managed, it can affect your quality of life. So what we need to do is make sure that we know where the short-term rentals are, that we hold them accountable. The